Hi gamer girls, my name is Gunty and today we are discussing why nothing seems to ever happen. Now lately on the internet there's been a lot of geopolitical speculation over the possibility of a World War III, and there's a bunch of idiots all over the internet screaming, "Oh, I'm gonna get drafted," which is a huge pet peeve of mine because the Department of Defense is intimately aware of how many Americans identify as furries and are not going to want to take that chance with the draft. And as there is a yin, there must be a yang. And so with all these people freaking out, there are just as many people on the opposite side, many glorious chudjaks, all standing, stating that they would bet their entire life that nothing was ever going to happen, that this is all just a nothing burger. And as it stands right now, it seems that the chuddies were correct. Now, this could change very rapidly. I mean, it is a volatile system. Geopolitics are very complicated, and I'm a YouTuber. But as it stands right now, chuddies stay on top. Nothing happens. Why is that? Why does it seem like nothing ever seems to happen lately? It seems like you can always bet on that. You've got better odds. You know, it's not a 50-50. You're playing 75-25. You always beat the house when you bet on nothing happening. That is the main topic for today's video. Why does nothing ever seem to happen? Why can you bet so successfully on this? Why is everything always a nothing burger? And I think there are three main reasons that I'm going to talk about today. The first is the media system, the media apparatus. And I mean traditional old school media like CNN, newspapers like the Wall Street Journal and such, and also new media. So political grifters on the internet from both sides that are trying to make a buck. They really want to convince you that something is happening because they can line their pockets. The only reason you would watch a CNN is so that you could get real-time information about a situation that could be possibly affecting yourself. No one is tuning into CNN to watch Anderson Cooper do a puff piece on a local dog walker. It's just not happening. They need you to be scared and they need you to click and they need to convince you that something isn't going to happen. No, this isn't a nothing burger. Trump has done blah blah blah. You're going to be eviscerated into a jelly in 4 hours if you don't watch CNN. But at the end of the day, you can't really make something out of nothing. It's not how it works, so nothing ever happens. And this is also compounded because we have another Trump presidency and TDS is so prevalent. And I think a big part of a lot of why people think something is going to happen all the time or a World War III is people put a level of incompetence upon Donald Trump. And it's a huge mistake that the left makes all the time. They go, "Oh, Trump is this babbling buffoon, idiot, whatever, but like we can't beat him. Like he just comes back and beats us again anyway." It's like, okay, what is he? Is he the mastermind that's beating you politically all the time? You don't really seem to have a really good counter to him, or is he just a full-on retard? Which is it? He can't be both. The second reason why nothing ever seems to happen is because our current geopolitical, geo-connected world, our globalist society, is really designed in a way to prevent a boogaloo from taking place, right? We had two huge boogaloos in the early 1900s, and the people that lost those boogaloos, well, they didn't turn out so good. They didn't really have a great time initially, at least. You know, Japan had a pretty fast recovery and did pretty good, and Germany recovered well, but in the 5 to 10 years following, it was not a good time to be an Axis power. And so I think there's a huge disincentive to want to try something like that in the global stage, right? Everything is so globally connected. If you were to try and fight NATO and lose, the risk reward profile on going to war to try and do something like that, it doesn't exist. There's nothing good that comes of it. When they found Osama bin Laden's computers, when they iced that dude, he had a lot of information and documents and back and forths with other leaders of his group of retards, in which they really had talked about how they really had screwed the pooch with the whole 9/11 situation, and that they really were not prepared to get just BTFO'd by the US. And ultimately, there's a lot of shared economic interests of a lot of the world, even countries you would think that don't have a whole lot tied together economically do because of this new global society. And it's like that old saying, like, if there's two McDonald's in two different countries, they'll never go to war because of the economic interest. Now, that isn't necessarily true. I think countries that both have McDonald's have gone to war since that theory's been posed. but it's still, you know, a relevant piece of information that two countries with similar economic interests don't really have a whole lot to gain by, you know, liquefying each other's civilian populations. Now, my third and final reason why nothing ever happens is kind of actually a plot twist to you chuddies out there. The truth is, things are happening. I can already hear you right now. You're crying to yourself. How could this have happened? I checked the graphs. My watch was set. The batteries were set. But you're wrong. Things are happening in the US and all over the world. It's just, I think a lot of the time with a lot of this nothing ever happening stuff, it's so hyper fixated on like war and like visceral boots on the ground combat between superpowers, and kind of neglects a lot of the other aspects of, like, you know, politics and domestic foreign policy. Like, COVID happened, right? We had to, like, basically an entire world sort of shut down like 4 or 5 years ago. Like, that's not nothing there. Like, that is definitely something that's taking place. This meme just kind of ties only in terms of, you know, World War III. Like, New York City is about to have a socialist Muslim mayor. Like, things are happening. That is interesting stuff that is happening. That is cultural shift. That is things that are changing, right? 20 years ago, New York City was probably not a kind place to the Islamic people, right? Even in terms of military involvement and war, things are always happening. They're just happening at a much smaller, slower scale than you are expecting, right? When we look back at history and we see all these wars that have taken place, and 9/11 is kind of an isolated incident where things were happening really fast. Things got really big. The world changed in a matter of minutes, right? But historically speaking, things happen pretty slowly, and they happen over time, and it's sort of a gradual ramping up. So as of right now, we're not in World War III, but when we look back at the history books and we look back to this section right here, we could see a slow ramp up towards a World War III start happening right now. We could be in the middle of the lead up in that chapter of the history book that some, you know, transgender furry is going to be reading in 7th period, you know, 20 years from now. Now, not only bad things are happening, and this is kind of the point I want to leave off in the video, there are a lot of great things that are happening right now. Things are happening right now that are awesome and amazing, and a lot of them are localized in your local communities, and great things are taking place. And focus on those. Don't focus on the world stuff, because we can't do anything about it. It's just going to happen to us. Again, don't be worried about being drafted. It's not going to happen. Like I said, the Department of Defense does not want to risk a furry regiment being sent out there, all right? Now, as funny as that would be to, you know, kind of use them as cannon fodder, it's not going to happen, okay? What will or won't happen is all going to happen. So just enjoy the moment, enjoy life, turn off the news, don't get all hyper fixated and all that. Don't give those grifters money to try and tell you that this or this isn't happening. Just go and live life, enjoy things, have good food, spend time with friends, enjoy the summer sun, especially you Brits out there that are complaining that it's like 62 degrees outside and that that's a heat wave. Are you kidding me? That's ridiculous. I would kill for 62-degree weather. But anyway, this has been a different kind of video than the ones I usually make, because I usually just do internet drama and memes. Now, granted, this is kind of a meme. It's a kind of politically charged one underneath, but this isn't a political channel, so if this is your first Gunty video, don't worry. Although I do run relatively right in terms of my politics, that being said, I do not care if you're a lefty. I respect your beliefs or whatever and whatnot, and this channel isn't overly political, so I don't want to like scare you away from potentially subscribing because you think all I do is just, you know, Alex Jones type stuff. Most of my videos are, did you see what iDubbbz did? That's bad, guys. But anyway, I've rambled on for way too long, and, you know, we're getting to that 10-minute mark, which means I've got to go. So if you've liked this video, leave a like. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Are you a team nothing ever happens, or are you a team things are happening now? Let me know. And, you know, if you like this content and you want to see some more, please consider subscribing. It would help me out greatly. I am very close to 1,000 subs, or at least like relatively close, and I would really love to hit it, and it would mean so much to me. Not because I could monetize, because I probably won't be able to monetize. You've watched the video I've just produced. There's no way that YouTube is going to co-sign anything I make and give me money for it. So just subscribe. I want to hit those numbers just for the fun of it. And if you didn't like this video, this is really important. This is honestly the most important part of the video. If you hated this video, make sure you leave a dislike and a hate comment so that you can help me in the algorithm. It's super important, and I really hope that you guys can, help me out by hating me super hard. And with that, I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.